scuffle between taxi drivers and a user of the private unregulated car service Uber at Toronto City Hall. City Council met today to decide whether to set rules for the company's operations. After 6 hours of debate, Council voted to let Toronto's Licensing and Standards Committee come up with a plan to regulate Uber by sometime next year. Well, a lot of people are watching this across the country, and Teresa Tang is watching the story for us and joins us with more. Teresa.
I was in Toronto in July during the Pan Am Games. I was in a taxi and I asked the driver how business was, and he said 4 words to me: horrible because of Uber. And that basically captures the controversy. Now, Uber is a service that you can access through an app on your smartphone that links drivers to passengers. Drivers often are private individuals with their own cars, and this has caused controversy because some say this service has muscled its way into the market. It provides, or it is a source of unfair competition because these drivers don't need licenses, unlike taxi drivers. There are 15,000 Uber drivers in Toronto, and today City Council was faced with the question, what do we do with these drivers? Do we regulate them? Do we ban them? And passionate people turning up on both sides. You're going to hear from both sides now. Yellow, the taxi drivers; in blue, the Uber supporters.
This is just regular people picking up passengers. They're not regulated, they're not safe, they're not licensed, they're not insured, they don't have any taxi plate on their cars.
All I want to see is that it's here to stay in a fair way, and that is provided the safety of the insurance that we all want. We want regulation as Uber. We want it because we want to be safer.
For 6 hours, this debate raged on, and now Council has asked staff to prepare a report for the spring of next year around a regulatory framework for all ground transportation, including Uber. I want to take you now into Council chambers earlier today.
I want to ensure that the hardworking people of the taxi industry will not be left jobless by the introduction of ride-sharing apps.
And I don't approve of the way they came in the marketplace, but they're here. And I was saying we better acknowledge the fact that that technology is here and bring that into the regulatory system in order to produce a fair regime.
After the vote, taxi drivers marched out yelling, "Shame on you." And again, Ian, what's next is this report is going to be prepared for spring of 2016. And Council has even asked for Uber to stop operating until then. But we don't know if Uber will obey that request.
So on the one side, you have the heavily regulated cab industry, lots of rules that affect them and riders. On the other hand, you have Uber, basically no regulations. So that's the dispute. And what about in the rest of the country? What's happening outside of Toronto?
It's a pretty confusing situation. We have a map here. I'll go through a few of the cities. Here in Vancouver, there is no Uber. The mayor placed a moratorium on that service. Over in Calgary, Uber is banned because they don't allow ride-sharing services. Ottawa, we've heard a lot about the city and Uber, a lot of controversy they've launched. They're operating there illegally. And Halifax, they do operate there, Ian, but only their blacktop service. So it's really different all across the country.
Okay, and we'll talk more about this when we're back in a couple of hours. Thanks.